Welcome to Betting Weekly Premier League show. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. Fellas, we've got new favourites for the Premier League after last week's fixtures and results. Arsenal are now plus 125 to win the title. Manchester City plus 200. I mean, in my mind, Nigel, City a big value here at 2-1. How do you see it? Arsenal too short for me. Even though I said at the start of the season, the Gunners were value, not anymore. What do you think?
Good morning. I wouldn't... Well...
2-1 City in October, you'd take it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I just think the Rodri issue, as we spoke about last week, the fact that I keep harping on they can't buy any replacements. If they get one injury to Haaland, they are in real trouble because they haven't got a striker. I went on the City website and I spoke about it on the live show last week. I went on the City website, looked at their squad, and it's got goalkeepers, 3 goalkeepers, defenders, loads of midfield, loads of strikers, 1 Haaland. And I think that's the problem for them, that if they get one other big injury, De Bruyne is not fit, how much more they're going to get out of him. I don't know, I disagree with you slightly, Dan. I think that Arsenal have got some momentum. And also, this is not only a 2-runner race. Liverpool, exceptionally well. Chelsea, staking their claim as well. And Aston Villa, after their heroics yesterday. So, I wouldn't be betting Man City, no, I wouldn't.
Jack, what do we think? Money futures prices at the moment for the title between the top two. Have the bookmakers got it right?
I think, at the moment, probably, yeah. I think with everything that Nigel's now said, and I generally think looking over the next few fixtures, there's a chance we might see a bit of a flip-flop. There's also a chance we might be seeing a little bit of a pick 'em a 3 with that game on the horizon. Liverpool, Anfield, Arsenal go in there. Liverpool win that one. That's going to really put the cat amongst the pigeons and will make a really, really interesting odds at that point of time in the season. So Liverpool just keep impressing. So as long as that keeps going on, and as you say, Nigel then talked there about Manchester City's kind of lack of strength in depth. One thing you can say about Liverpool, especially in that final third, the attacking third, they've got a whole host of talent to call on there. We've not really even seen the likes of Gakpo get involved yet. So I think those of Liverpool persuasion are getting a little bit excited currently, which is unlike them.
And that game in London between Arsenal and Liverpool. I mean, Nigel, when you look at the next 4 fixtures here, after this weekend, Arsenal play Southampton. Then it's after the international break, Bournemouth away, Liverpool at home, Newcastle away, Chelsea away. For City, after their game this weekend, it's Wolves away, Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, Brighton away. Those prices are going to change in a month's time. No?
Yeah, if they win them all, yeah. But if it's that easy, Dan, we'd all be millionaires. We wouldn't be doing this show at, what is it time now? 11:05 on a Thursday.
I do it for the love.
Well, yeah. Well, I won't pay your invoice this month. I love you, Dan.
That's been cropped.
Listen, our boys, our handicappers had a really good weekend last weekend. We had a profitable weekend, so hopefully you were tailing us. Just tag us in at Because We Win. If you've been doing that, share your Bet Rivers bet slip if you can. And of course, we've got a newsletter coming your way as well. Head to bettingweeklystudios.com for that. Let's get stuck in to some lanes and some plays.
I think that newsletter's coming by carrier pigeon.
I didn't want to say.
Or bottle. I think we've got to put a bottle in the Atlantic and send it across.
I didn't want to mention
it's coming. Hopefully it's here before Christmas.
I didn't want to mention it. I've just been told to mention the website. It's on its way. Let's get some leans, picks, plays, hot dogs, same game parlays, usual drill. Boys are in really good form, as they have been this season, because the show is in profit. We're going to start with Palace against Liverpool, 7:30 Saturday morning Eastern time here. Palace are big price here. They are still without a win, Nigel. Liverpool, around about 5-1 for the title here. What are your thoughts? Have you got a lean for us in the Palace-Liverpool game?
Well, I think it's going to be very tricky for Crystal Palace. I mean, no wins in 6, and the faithful are beginning to turn on Glasner after the end of last season, which was exceptional. They're not unhappy with the manager or the team. They're unhappy with the board not investing money into the players that they've got. Glasner's obviously a man who knows European football, and he hasn't really spent any of the huge amount of money that they've sold their players on quality players coming in. I said to my brother this weekend, what do you fancy the game? He said, I don't really care. I'm going to watch Dorking Wanderers against Hornchurch.
Oh, wow.
So that is, Crystal Palace against Liverpool. He's going to Dorking Wanderers against Hornchurch in the National League South. The thing is with Liverpool, they're just being efficient, aren't they? Getting the job done, winning matches efficiently, business-like. A 2-0 win in midweek, very professional against Bologna. 4 road matches, 4 wins, scored at least 2 in all those wins. 10 matches unbeaten Liverpool in this fixture as well, and Crystal Palace were a lot better than what they are. The Crystal Palace version was a lot better than what they have here. I think it's going to be very, very hard for Crystal Palace. I really worry about where their goal scoring threat comes from. I'm a huge fan of Eze. I've seen the kid since he's broke onto the scene at Queen's Park Rangers, but I just find the pressure on him at the moment. He is, everything evolves around him. He is the main man. He's got no support there. When he had the Lise, when he had other players around him, you could see him thrive. But now he's the one that everyone turns to, and he's not that kind of kid, I think, who's got that in him to sort of take the ball by the horns and run with it. He needs a little bit of other players to get him to go. And I really worry about Crystal Palace this season. Unless they can turn it around in the transfer window, they're involved in a relegation battle. And I can't see anything other here than Liverpool winning. I was staggered to see the price on Liverpool to win to 0. I mean, one thing I'm going to say this week is that this week's got a lot of bets. I found it, some weeks I find it hard to find 3. This week I could have it was about 8 I could have chose from the 3. And Liverpool to win to 0 was one on my shortlist as well. I think Liverpool will win. I look at 1-0, 2-0 Liverpool. Professional job. Get the job done. Head into the international break with maximum points. Being that big game coming up as well against Arsenal. So Liverpool to win to 0 here would be my lean, which is a massive 185, almost 2-1 Liverpool to win to 0. I think that's a huge price.
Yeah, Palace are 8-1 to go down, incidentally. I guess it's the fact that Saints look awful. Ipswich and Leicester, the promoted sides, also haven't had great starts to the season. Jack, your lean is in a similar vein, isn't it, here, when it comes to the Palace-Liverpool game? Liverpool are minus 205 to win the game in the 90, but we've got to get a bit creative.
Yeah, I'm the same with Nigel. I found there's quite a lot of bets I loved this week, and it was trying to narrow them down. So let's hope we've picked the right ones, but if not, then our leans will be coming in strong as well. So I was tossed up between 2 here. I initially was going with Liverpool to win and under 4.5 goals. It's not normally a play that I really like, but the way I see Liverpool playing at the moment is just this controlled nature. They get 1-2 goals up, and then they kind of keep people at arm's length, and it's not that they sit back, but they just control it out, and that's been really impressive, and that's probably the main difference we've seen. We're not going to see those crazy games, those 4-2s and bonkers scorelines that we saw under Klopp. We're going to see, I think, quite regularly a 2-0 performance, professional job, get done, get out, and go on from there. So, and I think similar. What I actually landed on, because the prices were virtually identical, was Asian handicap -1 Liverpool in this one. Minus 127. So it was nearly going to be my 2-unit play, and I switched it late on. But that's why I've gone with a lean at big minus money, really. Same with Eze. He's struggling under the pressure there a little bit. He's not quite hitting the form that we've seen in the past, because I think opponents have identified that he's the guy to nullify, and that stops the creativity for Palace. Liverpool have just been super impressive. So, yeah, I agree totally. This will be a comfortable, if not emphatic, win for Liverpool.
Yeah, maybe 2-0 for Nigel, 1-0, 2-0, and Jackie's looking at the Asian line there, -1, -127. Brentford Wolves, we have got official plays in this from both of our cappers here. 10 a.m. Eastern, Brentford -104, Wolves +265. Nigel, Brentford have scored in the first minute of the last 3. There's no price for that to happen again, but if you fancy them to lead at half-time, it's +150, and they do score a lot of their goals in the first half. You've gone straight in the money line here, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a cold, so I apologise if anybody is struggling to understand me today. I've got a bit of a bug, so I apologise for that. But I've gone for the money line. The line's moved a little bit. When I sent the price through yesterday, Brentford were even money on the money line here, and they're now -104. I still think that's a bet, and I'd probably bet that down to -110. So I think sometimes when these lines move quite quickly on some of the plays, we think people watch a show on a Saturday or a Friday. I think if it's anything down to -110, I'd probably still play Brentford. If it went anything lower than that, I wouldn't get involved. But they are unbeaten at home, 4 matches at home. And one thing that Brentford do is they usually beat the teams in or around them. Their record against the teams in the bottom half of the table is exceptional. It's when they play the big boys, it's when they struggle. And this season, it's pretty much consistent from the last couple of seasons they've been in. Their only losses this year have been against Liverpool, Manchester City, and Tottenham, and they've beaten those teams in or around them. The only thing which is a bit of a problem for that is that Wolves have a very good record in this fixture. They've never ever beaten Brentford. Brentford have never beaten Wolves, since they've come back into the Premier League. And last year they won it 4-1. So that was a shock result, but this is a real bad version of Wolves. I think there's serious problems there. They've got injuries. No team in the Premier League has more injuries at this moment in time than Wolves. It sounds crazy, but they're really missing Craig Dawson, the centre-half from Wolves. I mean, he was great at West Ham. He's an old type centre-half, but he's been great since he's gone there. And I think defensively, they're a shambles. They've conceded so many goals, which is unlike Wolves' sides over the years. They've been quite good defensively and been quite dull to watch. This time around, they're just not they're just not being able to stop the ball from going in the back of the net. So I just think here that Brentford have got a little bit about them. At home, they're a match for anybody. We know they start fast, as you've seen. We've seen that over the years, and they're doing it incredibly well at the moment. All these fast opening minute goals, and they're playing Wolves just at a real bad time for Wolves. And I fear for Wolves, like I do Crystal Palace, but unfortunately I think that could be the end for Gary O'Neill if they lose this game and if they lose it heavy. I think he might decide to walk, or I think he might be given his P45, but I think Brentford will win this here. This is when the times that the managers go, just international break, the second international break. I think these are big, big matches for Ten Hag, for Gary O'Neill, for Glasner, all these managers at the bottom of the table, and I think that a comfortable Brentford win here could spell the end for Gary O'Neill in Wolves, and unfortunately, I think it's going to happen. So it's my one unit pick. I'm going to go for Brentford to win this because I think the price is wrong. I think the price is built on everyone is thinking that Wolves will get a performance or the record in this fixture. But this Wolves side, they're at the bottom of the table for a reason because they're very, very poor and they can't defend. And Brentford, fast starters, could be over inside 5 minutes. Brentford for me, -104, I will take it. I was happier with the even money, but if it goes down to -110, take that as well.
Yeah, good stat about Dawson as well there. Their win percentage really drops off when he doesn't play. Jack, you have got a little bit of a correlated bet to a certain extent here. It is an official one-unit play. And am I right? Are you 6 from 6 with your one-unit plays this season?
Yeah, whisper it quietly, but I am so far. 100% record. Hopefully I'll take that into the international break.
Yeah, wonderful stuff. What you got for us here? You're pushing the boat out with your one-unit play here.
But yeah, I'm liking the plus money stuff at the moment. So there's plenty of value about this week. So why not look to get on board with it and say keep pushing that P&L up? And I'm going with a similar theme. I think Brentford will win this one. And on that basis, their talisman at this moment in time will get on the score sheet. So I'm going for a Brian Mbeumo goal. So Brian Mbeumo to score is plus 200 now. That's my one unit play. I looked at it at the start of the week and he was around about 195. And yeah, that's absolutely fine. I was still going to play it. He's effectively in hot dog territory here. But no, it's going to be my one unit play. I've got something bigger for that coming up. And yeah, absolutely for those reasons. I think Brentford are in a good shape at this moment in time. I've been quite sweet on him over the last 2 or 3 weeks. He was the guy who scored the goal that helped cash the both teams to score bet in the Manchester City game 3 weeks ago, the start of this incredible 1 minute goal scoring run. And then he scored when I put him up as a lean. And then again last week when I actually fancied him against West Ham. But this time round, I'm pulling the trigger on him as an official play. And I say he is in great form at the moment. 5 goals in 6 appearances this season. Doing extremely well, and I was glad to see that said Nigel's put Brentford up as a play here, because if Brentford are to win this, as we both expect, then I do expect Mbeumo to be on the score sheet for that. So he's playing Wolves at a great opportunity, a great time. 16 goals conceded for Wolves, the most in the Premier League. Their expected goals against as well is very high. They're in the bottom third as far as that metric is concerned, so it's no fluke that they're conceding so many goals. And I say Mbeumo is the main man. He's nailed on to start for Brentford. Injury permitting, touch wood, that doesn't happen, or a landslide performance from Brentford. He will play the 90 minutes as well. He's also on penalties. We saw him step up in the absence of Ivan Toney. That's obviously a permanent absence now. And he's carried on. He's really grasped the net. We obviously saw Visser at the start of the season, that being a real good combination. But since he's been out injured, it's not impacted Mbeumo at all. He's gone, I'm going to show you I'm the main man. I take him to score 15 to 20 goals this season, and that continues with one here in this one at a very nice price indeed. You look at, if this was Ivan Toney a couple of seasons ago in this fixture with the same kind of setup, he'd have been a lot closer to even money than Mbeumo is here. Plus 200, I'm taking that all day long.
Yeah, official one unit play from Jack there, 100% record with his one unit play so far this season. Arsenal versus Southampton. Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern. We've got a play in this. We've got Nigel's 2 unit play here. Arsenal as you would imagine, pretty much unbackable on the money line at minus 9.10. Southampton at 20-1, draw around about 9-1 here. Arsenal got over the line last weekend in the Premier League, Nigel, but only just. Were they a little bit complacent against Leicester, do you think?
Hang on a minute, before we go into that, how come he got a massive intro about his one unit play? I'm unbeaten, brilliant Jack Wright. I haven't lost a 2 unit play.
No,
yet
you haven't
this
lost
year.
a 2 unit
Oh, where's
play,
my
that's
introduction then? Where's my introduction like that? What's going on here? First of all, you want to do it for love. First of all, you want to do it for love. And now you won't even give me an introduction of my 2 unit plays. I haven't had a loser yet. On the big one. The money one. Unbelievable.
Hang on, let's recap that. So, Nigel, let's...
No, I'll tell you what I like. I'm going to go here for a bet that I always like. It's the win to nil. And I'm going to go for Arsenal to win to nil. Now, obviously, on the Bet Rivers website, what you've got to do is you've got to click on Arsenal on the money line and click on Southampton under a half a goal. And it will come up with a price of minus 125 for you. I think that's a great price. I mean, Southampton already on the metrics and already from the human eye are the worst team in the Premier League. And they could be, in my opinion, challenging for the sort of Sheffield United-esque points from what they did last season. They are that bad. Defensively, they're a shambles. Attackingly, they're awful. They're the lowest scorers in the Premier League. Their metrics are diabolical. They've got one shining light, the young kid who's playing as a winger. But, I mean, that if you're putting your hopes on a 17-year-old boy, then you've got big problems. Arsenal defence, it's just rock solid. The Rayas have been amazing. The centre-half partnership has been incredible. They do have slight injury concerns with White and Timber for this match. I think Timber's out, but White is a big doubt as well, which doesn't help, but I still think that Arsenal will be too strong. Uncharacteristically, defensively, frailties against Leicester in the last match when they conceded 2, which I don't think that will please Arteta. And then they bounce back with a solid win to nil against Paris Saint-Germain. 21 times in all competitions last season, Arsenal won to nil. 4 matches from 9 this season, they've won to nil, which isn't great on the metrics, but this is the weakest opposition they've faced in those 9 matches. And I just can't see how Southampton can score in this match. If you don't want to bet the win to nil, you can probably bet Southampton not to score at a similar kind of price. Southampton's record at the Emirates or at Arsenal in general is diabolical. You've got to go 29 matches. You have to go to the last time that Arsenal won in the league here in the old First Division at Highbury. And it was back in 1987. Number one that day, 1987, November.
1987?
Yep, November 97, number 1, Arsenal. Last time Southampton beat Arsenal.
Was it True Faith, New Order?
No, it was You Win Again by the Bee Gees, and it will be sung tonight on me. You win to nil again, Arsenal. You win to nil again. That's the bet. Minus 125, 2 units. You win to nil again.
Who scored the winner for Southampton?
I don't know. Kevin Keegan.
He could have.
I don't know.
Danny Wallace?
I don't know.
David
I'll
Armstrong?
Google that while you get Jack's pick.
Jack's got a lean on this one, talking about an informed defender, hopefully, who can give Southampton a bit of trouble, Jack.
Yeah, so Nigel's 2 unit plays are staying alive after that selection.
It could be a tragedy. It could be a tragedy. It could be a tragedy.
I tell you what.
Oh yeah,
it was Danny Wallace who scored as well.
Yes!
Well done. In the 90th minute. 90th
Danny.
minute.
Oh,
well
go
done.
on,
there
Danny.
we go. Have that. Google's working over there as well in Dan's house. Brilliant news.
I knew that. I was probably there. No, go on.
I'll go. What seems a little bit of an obvious play this, but I'm going for Gabriel, the centre back, to have over 0.5 shots on target. He's plus 195. He's been an absolute menace from set pieces. I'm waiting for the time where it's going to have to come that Arsenal are going to switch up this sort of set piece routine with everyone focusing on Gabriel, that he takes their main man underneath the ball and they stick it at the back stick for someone like a White or a Havertz or anyone else really to kind of have some space. But at this moment, I think he's such a threat. They're just sticking with what's working, sticking it in the mixer, and he's just beating everyone to it. And we saw him have a couple of shots on target last weekend against Leicester, which is a very comparable fixture we've now talked about. And he's had at least one in each of his last 3 league games now. And I think they'll obviously dominate the board against Southampton. They will dominate that final third. That will lead to plenty of set pieces and corners. And we saw Bournemouth do that during the week and cause problems. They've conceded 6 goals from set pieces, Southampton, which is the worst in the league. Plenty of shots as well. And it just all adds up, really, I think, here that in a game that I expect, again, Arsenal to win pretty comfortably, Gabriel will look to get on the score sheet again. But just a shot on target at plus 195 looks like a very good way in against this brittle, fragile and pathetic Southampton side.
Plus 480 to score, incidentally. Gabriel Havertz has scored in each of his last 6 home games at the Emirates. He's plus 107 to score. Arsenal unbeaten in the last 40 Premier League home games against promoted sides, Nigel. 35 wins, 5 draws. Since a 1-0 loss to Newcastle in November 2010. Who scored the winner for Newcastle?
2010?
2010.
It was scored by, I don't know.
Jack?
No, it wasn't scored by Jack. It was scored by...
Jack?
I don't know. Go on.
Kieran Dyer.
No, come on. Striker, big lump of a number 9.
Andy Carroll.
Correct. For a bonus point, where does he play now?
He plays in Nantes
Toulouse?
or Nice. Nice.
Close. Where's James Easton when we need him?
He's in south of France somewhere, isn't he?
Ish.
Bordeaux.
Correct. How many goals did he score on his debut for an extra bonus point?
Oh, he got 2.
He did get 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of
racking
And
the
two-
if Gabriel scores, we not only will win again, dreams can come true for us all as well.
Oh,
But anyway.
sunshine through our window.
Speaking of 2, we wish Nigel's 2-unit play all the best over the course of the
Thank
week.
you.
He is.
He's been doing well on them
when
this
it comes
season.
to- He's been doing
I know,
fantastic.
I don't like to
Just,
talk about it,
you know.
boys. I don't like to talk
keep
about
it
it.
under the radar.
I don't like to talk about it.
Let's do the rest of the 3 p.m. games quickly here, ladies and gentlemen. We've got leans from the boys on this slot. We're going to go Leicester, Bournemouth first. Jack, what you got for us? Bournemouth favourites here.
Yeah, after that performance on Monday night where they're impressive, especially first half, they could have been more than 3 goals up, to be fair, and then they coasted the second, didn't they? So I'm actually fancying goals here. Over 3 Asian total, plus 100 is my lean. I think this is a game that Leicester are in desperate trouble. They need to try and get some wins from somewhere. Pressure's under Steve Cooper already. But I think Bournemouth are the main driver for me in this one. I think they will identify this as a game where they can try and play a little bit of catch-up. And so we saw that goal threat on Monday night, but also they do concede. They've not kept a clean sheet in any of their last 10 across all competitions. So the quite bizarre thing for Leicester, I was a bit surprised still when you see these things. Sometimes they go under the radar a little bit, that both teams to score has landed in all of Leicester's Premier League games so far. And as we said, that included scoring a couple of goals at the Emirates last weekend. So they are finding ways to score. And on those basis, you'd expect both teams to score here. I expect Bournemouth to probably win this one. So therefore, the 3 Asian total at plus 100 is a decent line for me, and I'll take that as a lean.
Nigel?
I've got goals. Both attack-minded, both performing well on the metrics, strong in attacking positions, both of them. Defensively is their weakness. Goals, all the stats resort to that. Over 3, even money. Agree with Jack.
Good stuff. Man City against Fulham. City, obviously, very short in the betting here, minus 400. Fulham are 11-1-ish. Nigel, Fulham have been playing well this season. Could they give City a game? What's an angle in here?
I think they can give them a game. I think they'll score. Both teams have scored a cash in all City's home matches in the England this season. Only one that didn't was the 0-0 draw against Inter Milan. And those matches are against the likes of Ipswich, Brentford, Arsenal and Watford. So Man City have conceded against those sides. Ipswich, Brentford, Arsenal, Watford. This is a very exciting Fulham side. They've got goals in them. I think they've got one of the signings in the season in Emil Smith Rowe. Unbeaten since the opening day against Manchester United. Have scored in every match since that 1-0 loss. And have scored in their last 3 visits to the Etihad. So both teams to score, yes, minus 110.
Good stats. You've been copying each other, haven't you, Jack?
Same bet, yeah. Both teams to score, minus 110. I was looking at Emil Smith Rowe shots here. Man City don't really, even though they're conceding goals, they're not conceding a lot of shots. You can get them plus money for over 1.5 shots, regardless of the end result of that, or potentially, if you want to go a bit more aggressive, have a shot on target. I kept it pretty simple. As I said, Fulham scored last season, although they got whooped 5-1, and Man City is just a constant run. But even you go back to the back end of last season, where they're conceding goals at home, both teams to score. Yeah, it looks like a good play at minus 110.
Could Fulham finish top 10, Nigel? Plus 150, we bet, Rivers?
I tipped them at the start of the season. I think they were about, I can't remember what price they were. I think they're about plus
probably
350.
Yeah,
to make the top. Yeah, I think they can. I think they're a side that can go well in a cup. I think they could win a cup. They can't win the Carabao Cup, but I think they could go win an FA Cup. But I think they're a side that are going to do well. Really good recruitment, new stand built there, which I'm going to tonight. I'm going to the opening of the new stand tonight. I'm going to a cocktail reception. Yeah.
Wow, very nice.
Lovely,
West Ham.
I'll send you some pictures, Dan.
Oh, wonderful. West Ham. I'm only down the road. West Ham. Where's my invite? West Ham against Ipswich. West Ham minus money favourites here. They can't be minus money favourites. Jack, what's the play? What's the lead?
I think your invite's in the same envelope as the Bet Rivers, the newsletter. Yeah, I think it's there. It's on its way. Yeah,
in the newsletter. Along with last year's Christmas party invite. Get in there. In this way.
What's the lean? West Ham Ipswich.
I've gone. I'll have to whisper this one quietly. I've got Ipswich plus half a goal here. Asian handicap at plus 100. We talked about Fulham being in the top 10. I thought West Ham might be doing that. They're not looking likely at this moment in time. Lots of problems there. And this one looks like a real potential banana skin for them. They've not performed well at home at all. Ipswich have been hanging in games. They've done well. They've obviously had Delap score a couple of goals, which is good for his confidence as well. You've got Sammy Smodics scored for him. So they're kind of signings have already scored. They've got more confidence. And they're probably the complete opposite of what West Ham are at the moment. They're a side that are so united in every department, on the pitch, in the coaching setup with McKenna, behind the scenes, and the fan base obviously loving this tour of the Premier League again after so long away. And I just feel that there is a potential that they can get something from the game. If they certainly score early, that London Stadium is not going to be a pretty place to be playing for the West Ham players. And Lopetegui, struggling at this moment in time. So, I've gone for plus half goal. So a draw or a win for Ipswich here at plus 100 is my lean.
Interesting. Jack siding with Ipswich. Watch yourself in the country lanes of Norfolk a little later. Nigel, what have you got for us?
He's always
not for the first time.
I'm going to go for. I'm actually disagreeing with Jack on this occasion. I've got to agree with him. I just think that West Ham may be a price that you might regret not betting at minus 125. I know everyone had high expectations, me included, of West Ham this season. They haven't delivered, but their home matches this season have been very tough. Aston Villa, Manchester City and Chelsea. So that's a tough start to the season. This is the match they've got to win. It all depends on the first 15, 20 minutes. If West Ham score an early goal, then the place will be rocking and I think they'll win comfortably. Obviously, if they don't, they get on their back and it's an in-running bet for me. But I'm not really convinced by Ipswich this season. They look okay. They hit Villa at a good time just before that Bayern Munich game last week. Got a 2-2 draw. Bad defending for the second goal. But I know that the Asian market will probably come for Ipswich here, and I think West Ham will be a negative. But I just believe that this is a match that West Ham have to win. It's a must win. Lopetegui's under huge pressure if they don't win it. And it's a question of whether you look at the early season of form and think, well, they are really bad, or do you think they're going to get better? And I think they're going to get better. And I just think that minus 125 is a price that I probably think is a little bit too big. But no, it'll be an in-play bet. I think you want to watch the first 20 minutes here and see how the crowd is. The crowd make the difference for this match completely.
10-1 Lopetegui to be the next manager out. Eric Ten Hag, incidentally, is minus 177 in that market. Everton, Newcastle next was 12:30 Eastern on Saturday. Everton plus 230 here. Newcastle plus 112. Everton unbeaten in 3. This is Newcastle's best start to a Premier League season for over a decade. I didn't see that at all. 11 points from their 6 games. Jack, you've got your 2-unit play here. What is effectively your best bet of the weekend on the Premier League?
Yeah, I'm going for something a little bit different here. Over 1.5 total second half goals. It's minus 122. And this is based on what I've been seeing so far this season from these two sides. And also the stats are there to back it up as well. Two sides that tend to start quite slowly. That stat about Newcastle's best start, when you see them play, I thought, they were pretty good against Manchester City. But other than that, they've just been stuttering and just not quite seeming to fire, but been getting the results. And that's generally been due to second half comebacks. So that's part of the thinking behind this. And we've seen Everton throw away leads as well. So it all kind of fits hand in hand. They've fallen behind Newcastle in 4 of their 6 games this season, and all 3 away games. As far as the goals are concerned, 2 in the first half, 6 in the second half. Branthwaite back should help Everton tighten up a little bit. But again, we've seen 3 goals in the first half, 4 in the second half there. We cashed on Newcastle's slow start with Fulham a couple of weeks ago. I can't back Everton in the same reasoning because they're just still not convincing me as far as they're going to go out and win even the first half of this one. It's going to be a tight game, but I think this is going to be dependent on what goes on in the second half. I've looked at their respective home and away form really as the decider for the bet, because I think these are two sides that have quite defined styles when they're playing at home as to when they're playing away. You judge them totally differently because of their performances on home soil. If we look at their last 5 meetings, I've not gone too far back in history. We're going back to the start of the decade. They've met 5 times since 2020. 13 goals have been scored across those, and in the second half, 4 of the 5 have seen at least 2 goals in that second half, including last season, which was a 3-0 win for Everton. This season, Everton at home, 2 first half goals, 9 second half goals, over 1.5 in all 3 of their home games. And Newcastle away, 4 first half, 5 second half, over 1.5 in 2 of their 3. It's their last 2. They've been behind in all 3 of those games, as I've said. And I say it's just been that the stats lean into this one, that there's going to be more action in the second half, and the fact that there's going to be at least 2 goals in it makes it, said, my best play this weekend at -122.
-122. It's a 2-unit play, over 1.5 total goals in the second half. Nigel, any leans in this one for you?
I think this is a real tough match to call. I really, really do. I mean, are Everton as bad as what they had this season, started this season? I know they're getting better, conceding a lot of goals. Newcastle, can they be trusted on the road? That's a big question. I think under the lights at Goodison Park's a different ball beast as well. It's a ground that obviously gets a little bit of rocking when it's a night match. Newcastle, despite their great start, only 1 win on the road this season. And last season, they lost 11 matches on the road, which was the same as Burnley, who got relegated, and the same as Nottingham Forest, who we talk about countless times in this show, being one of the worst teams on the road. And Newcastle had the same record as them. So can we trust them? One thing I do think we can trust is goals. 6 of the last 8 matches this season for Everton, over 2.5 goals. Last 5 Everton matches, both teams have scored yes. 6 of 8 matches this season for Newcastle, both teams have scored yes. I would probably be leaning towards goals. Over 3 goals at even money would be my bet. But I think on the money line, I think this is a very, very tough match to call.
Let's get to some Sunday fixtures here, because the boys have both got their hot dogs in the same game here, which for me might be a game to leave alone, but obviously not for Nigel and Jack. It's Villa against Manchester United, 9 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. Villa are the favourites, +125. United +195. We've been steering clear of United because they've been the favourites. Now they're not. There might be a bet. I don't know. And after Villa's emotional win over Bayern in midweek, Nigel, I've sort of marked this one down as maybe one to avoid. But because it's United, it might be the right club for Villa to face, because the supporters are still going to be up for it. Come on, what's the hot dog? What's the big price play?
That was my reasoning. I thought to myself, if Villa are a team in the bottom 6 or bottom 7, I think there might be a favour. The fact they play Manchester United at home, and Manchester United are completely on the ropes, and Emery could hit the punch that could knock out Ten Hag. I thought that was the play here. You can look at it momentum. You think, it's a big word in sport, and I know it's a word that a lot of people like or they don't like. But I think that you could look at that win and think that Villa might think they could be walking on water at the moment, the way they're playing. I mean, they've just beaten the best club, one of the best clubs in European football, who put 9 past the side, 1-0 at home. So that gives them huge, huge belief that they can go well this season. And I think that Villa are the real deal. I said it last year. I thought they could challenge in the title. It didn't really work out. But, they're a proper team here. And they're being disrespected in the money line. +125, Villa in the money line. I wouldn't fancy that. Man United wins this season against Fulham on the first day of the season, when they were awful. Then they beat Barnsley from League One, and then they beat Southampton. We're considering the worst team in the Premier League, 3-0. So that's their wins. When they've played top sides, they played Liverpool and lost 3-0. Tottenham last week lost 3-0 as well. Aston Villa are a top side. So everyone's looking at the match against Bayern Munich and thinking it's a negative, but no one's really taken into much a thought that United are in Porto tonight, aren't they? They're in Portugal. Yeah. So they're travelling back in the Europa League a day later, a day without rest. And I think this is a very, very disrespectful price for Aston Villa here. So instead of Villa just to win on the money line, which is +125, which was potentially going to be one of my 1 unit play, I'm going to go for Villa -1 at +225, because the way that United are defending and the way that the players, Ten Hag's been given a stay of execution. That's a fact in this match, but the players clearly aren't playing for him, so they could very easily down tools. And if Villa score, and we know they've got goals from all over the pitch, Duran can come off the bench, Watkins, they've got goals from everywhere, Tielemans, they could really put Man United to the test here again. And I think if Villa are going to win, they're going to win well. It could be a draw. It could be, or United could shock everybody if there is a sort of a downturn from the match against Bayern Munich. But if Villa win, I think they're not going to win it 1-0. They're going to win it 3, and it could spell the end of Ten Hag. So Villa -1 would be my bet here at +225. And it's quite funny, Dan, because I thought when I put that down that you would be, this is, and I'm so delighted that you're not behind it. You can't believe it. I'm not showing the joy in my face because if I smile, my nose will crack because it is cold. But I am inside. I am jumping for joy that you're not actually agreeing with me. So it's brilliant news.
I just think, look, United when they're favourites, steer clear. United when they're bigger price, have a bit of a go. I mean, at 2-1, I'm not. If they were a little bit bigger, I'd think they were a bet. I mean, they beat Villa home and away last season. United are a basket case, as we've said all season long. But everything is about price. The game is about price. We know that. And when they start to get big against a team off the back of a big European game, as you say, the Porto one puts a little bit of an asterisk next to it as well. So we just don't know. So that's Nigel's hot dog. Jack, you've got your hot dog in this one as well. You're going for a goal scorer here.
I have, yeah. I must admit, I was thinking Man United were going to be a bigger price than what they are, and that was on my radar, but not at the price that they are here. Absolutely not. I was expecting.
If they were 5-2, if they were plus 250, I think United would be a bet, but I don't think
it'd have been on the radar. But yeah, I think absolutely the fact that they're in Porto, which is a real tough game for them tonight, especially with pressure on Den Haag. He's obviously going to want to try and get a positive result from that one, and we see him kind of snatch some ridiculous results when he's on the brink. So the fact that he's away at Porto tonight potentially is better for this game because it means he might well get it tonight and then revert back to type at the weekend. So, said absolutely bouncing for Villa last night. Absolutely sensational stuff. Imagine the supporters are probably still in the ground cheering that one on. It was such a big, huge performance. And I love the fact they've got Emery in charge because he's been around the block in Europe. He's won European trophies. And he's still been able to get his side to focus back on the league straight away. He knows how to do it. And he's got the players that he can rotate. You saw him take Watkins off last night and bring Duran on, obviously, to get the winning goal. But the player that I've gone for here as a goal scorer is a big price. It's Morgan Rogers at +310. Again, a name possibly not overly familiar with the American audience. He's not really hit massive headlines, but he's certainly been getting the attention over here in the UK. And was in the Championship last season, snapped up in the January transfer window. I think Villa had him probably as a potential player for dipping in and out of the side, and then look to probably a couple of years down the line have him in the starting lineup. But he's played so well. He scored goals at the back end of last season, 3 in his final 5 appearances last season. He missed the last couple of games of injury. Brilliant pre-season, and he's made himself undroppable from this Villa side right now. And he generally plays 90 minutes. And he's been putting in great performances without getting a reward. And then the last couple of games, it's clicked for him. A couple of assists in the game before last. And then he scored his first Premier League goal of this season last time out. And what I like about this is a perfect matchup for him with this Manchester United side. And for me as well, the fact that Bruno Fernandes's red card's been rescinded is a boost, because I think that's more likely means that Ten Hag's going to keep to that formula and that system and setup that he's got already, rather than change it and potentially block what we're going to see from Villa here. But we've seen it from FC20, we've seen it last week from Spurs, how they can drive straight through the middle of this Manchester United midfield and defence, really get at it. And this is the worst type of player. Morgan Rogers is a dynamic player. He's quick, he's direct, he's skillful, he's aggressive, he's fit, he's athletic, and he takes a shot from outside the box, but he can also burst into the box and finish these chances off. So at +310, I think it's a really big price, hence why it's my hot dog this week. The likes of Watkins, +100 odd, great options. Duran, we might see off the bench, but this guy normally gets the 90, will start in that forward area, and at +310, big price, as Nigel says, a game that Villa would not be surprised to see them score 2, 3 or even more against this fragile Manchester United side.
Be interested to get our viewers' thoughts on this. We get some good comments when it comes to United. We always do. Let us know, value or not, in the YouTube section. I'm sure we will get some anyway, but it's a good talking point when it comes to prices. What's your best play in that United game away at Villa? 2 more games to preview. Let's rattle through Chelsea Forest. We've got a couple of leans from the boys here. Then we've got the same game parlay to come as well. Jack's on duty this week. Chelsea Forest is another 9 a.m. Sunday game, Nigel. Here, Chelsea top scorers in the Premier League. They are free scoring at the moment, but Forest, we know, can do a job on teams, as we saw up at Anfield a couple of weeks ago. Give us your lean on this one.
Yeah, they cashed last week for a stint in my 2-unit play, which I don't like to talk about much. But they won very easily there. And it was a great performance. Palmer, I mean, what a sensational performance there. Four goals here. I was going to have a bet on this one, but it was going to be my hot dog, actually. But the price, I was waiting for the price to come on Bet Rivers. It will be up by the time this recording is done, but it wasn't actually live. And this was going to have my hot dog. And my hot dog here was going to be a player that I think was going to be the signing of the season, and it's Jadon Sancho to get an assist. Very, very much unlike me to play these kind of markets. Assist markets is something that I don't really do. But Jadon Sancho was he was the highest assists provider in European football when he's at Dortmund. His form since he's come to this Chelsea side has been exceptional. He's played 3 times, 3 assists in those 3 matches, and I think the way they play. The way he cuts it back for runners, there's no sort of out-and-out centre forward. The way he cuts the ball back, and then Cole Palmer comes in or Nicholas Jackson comes in. I think it sets Sancho up superbly for the way that he plays in this style of play that Chelsea are playing here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Sancho called up to the England squad for the next set of fixtures. I think he's playing that well, and the market loves Chelsea now. Minus 205 on the money line. I think they'll probably win it, and I think there will be goals because the way this Chelsea side play. They've got full of goals, but Sancho assist is big. It was a 3-1, bigger than 3-1, which I saw earlier today. But Bet Rivers haven't got a price on it yet. But when they do go up, if they're 3-1 or bigger, Jadon Sancho to get an assist in this match would be my lean.
Jack, what do you got for us here? You are buying into sort of a Forest, not necessarily second half comeback because they might not be down, but we saw what they did at Liverpool. Are you on the same sort of line here, what they might do at Stamford Bridge?
Do you know what? I think this is a double-edged sword. I've gone a little bit off-piste here with this one. Nottingham Forest to win the second half is at plus 390, so it's a big price, but one I've took as a lean because I think there's 2 possible scenarios here that work for this bet. Nigel said Chelsea, I watched that game against Brighton last week, and it was chaos for starters, but Chelsea could have been 6 or 7 up in that first half. It was absolutely ridiculous, but they've got such attacking talent and they're playing with such confidence that they could well blow Forest away in the first half here. And we saw it like on Monday. Well, in that game, it was 0-0 in the second half, but we saw it on Monday as well where Bournemouth took a 3-0 lead. They've done enough. They coasted, kind of allowed Southampton to have a little bit of a sniff in the game, and Southampton ended up winning the second half. So we could see a similar aspect to that here. If Chelsea are on it, we're still waiting to see them being completely consistent, but so far so good for them. If they are on it, they could certainly be 3-4 goals up in the first half here. Coast the second half and Forest might nick one to go and win that second half. Alternatively, the other side of it, Chelsea don't quite fire and we see how Forest sitting. And as you said, that was a smash and grab against Liverpool. The stats kind of suggest they've won each of their 3 away games this season 1-0 in the second half, varying results over that course of time. But we know that they can do that by playing that. And the key thing for Forest this week, certainly, Morgan Gibbs White back from his suspension, and he does make them tick, especially going forward in that counter-attacking style. So they're a second-half team, and I said it could work either way, doesn't matter. But a big price, plus 390, was one I'm prepared to stick a lean on.
Yeah, some good angles in for the Chelsea Forest game. Couple of leans for you there. We've got our same game parlay for the Brighton-Tottenham game. It is the feature game in England on Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, where Brighton are the favourites, plus 195. Spurs are plus 123 here. Short price favourites. Nigel's same game parlay cashed last week. That was in my notes. I didn't just say it. I do like to give Nigel credit.
Thank you very much.
But Jackie's on SGP duty today. What you got for us? What we building for the big game at Brighton, Jack?
Yeah, this should be an interesting one. As I said, I watched that Brighton-Chelsea game last weekend and it was chaos. This one could be much the same. And we talked about Brighton's high line last week. Well, we've got 2 of the highest come face-to-face here. This game could be played in effectively a 10-metre either side of the halfway line with these defensive lines, which could cause all kinds of issues. But what I've gone for, I was looking at a goals angle, maybe first half. But I ended up going with over 3.5 total goals in it, mainly because I think it's going to be super open. Brighton are struggling defensively with Van Heck being out, and they've got struggling as far as adapting to that. They've not got a lot of pace, and that is going to be exposed by this Tottenham side that are really in a good vein of form at the moment. We saw them against Manchester United. They kind of settled on a really nice little system with the 2-8s playing as far as Maddison and Kulusevski. And the next part of the parlay is Brennan Johnson to score. Really pleased for him. Came in for a lot of stick since he's moved from Forest, and took him a little bit of time. Understandable. He's a young kid, and he was a bit of a big fish in a relatively small pond at Forest. He was the main man for them. He's come to London, struggled to set in a little bit the expectations at Tottenham. But this season, you're now seeing him. He's starting to get that confidence back, scoring now 4 before tonight. Obviously, they play in the Europa League tonight. He's scored in 4 successive games. And you're seeing him starting getting those positions that confidence breeds. He's not on his heels. He's on the front foot, and he's finishing shots like we saw against Manchester United after 3 minutes in the 6-yard box. And he's got that level of confidence now. So I'm taking him to score in this one as well. And the final part of the parlay is for both these sides to take 4 or more corners. It just gives a nice boost to the price, which brings it to plus 1,000, so 10-1, which is kind of what we're looking for as far as our same game parlays are concerned. And both of them are very consistent with their corners. Brighton were generally a little bit of a side that didn't concede too many until, let's say, last weekend, where they conceded 8 against Chelsea, and all of those were in the second half. But as far as Spurs are concerned, they're the biggest corner takers in the Premier League, averaging 9.33. The only time they've dipped under this line was last week against Man United. I'm taking that as a bit of an outlier because they controlled the game as well. The red card also played into that, but they've smashed that line 9-7, 12, 12, 13 prior to that. Brighton, very consistent. They also missed it last week against Chelsea in that crazy game. But before that, 9-9, 7-4, 5. So there we have it. Brennan Johnson to score, over 3.5 goals, and both sides to take 4 or more corners over 3.5 corners comes in at plus 1,000.
Wonderful. 10-1 shot for the same game parlay. Nigel, any interest in Brighton Spurs? I mean, for my money, I can't back Spurs as favourites at plus 123. They're poor value for me. What about you? Any lean in here?
Well, it'd be so like Spurs, wouldn't it, to win against Man United 3-0 and go to Brighton and get beat 3-0. It'd be typical Spurs. 100%. Brighton is just defensively, there's so many goals conceding, scoring goals. 8 goals they conceded in their last 3 matches. Scored 7 in that period as well. It's going to be entertaining under the new manager, Hurst. Goals I've got on my list here. Solanke scores 3 from 3. Son is going to be a doubt. 25% chance he plays. So Solanke's going to lead the line. I can imagine any time goal scorer, Solanke's going to be a very, very popular play with Bet Rivers. Last season, Brighton won this match 4-2, over 3.5. He's minus 103. I did the dojo with Neil Channing, and Neil Channing was saying about lines. If you think there's going to be goals in a line, and this one here is over 3.5, which is the minus money, over 3.5. So this is the one that the bookies at Bet Rivers believe is going to have the most goals. So he sort of says, well, if it's over 3.5, why don't we go big or go home? So I'm going to go a lean over 5.5 goals at plus 550. Plus 550 over 5. If it's going to be over 3.5, you're going to get 4. You've got to run for your money. There's no point in playing the over. If it's going to over 3.5 and get 6, go 5.5 at plus 550.
We'll take that.
Yeah, I love it. No, exactly. I mean, you can split your stakes, can't you? You go over 3.5, then a little bit less over 4.5.
We're going all in. No, we don't do that.
Hey, listen. I've just recorded the European show.
What are you talking about here?
I've just recorded the European show. Steve Wish wants a 10-unit play. I've had to.
Does he?
Yeah, he does. He's going to lobby you for a 10-unit play. He says Jesus once Christ. A year, 10-unit play. Once you having that?
He must have sold some cows this week. Got a few quid.
Is he trying to catch up James Easton? Is that what that's about?
Yeah, that's
yeah, 20 units.
Oh dear. Let's just remind everyone of the 2-unit plays before we wrap it up because we're off for a fortnight. Jack, what's your 2-unit play? What's your best bet this weekend?
Over 1.5 goals in the second half of Everton versus Newcastle.
And king of the 2-unit plays, I'm getting back in these doubles.
Much,
king of the 2-unit plays.
I don't like to talk about it.
King of the 2-unit plays.
I don't like to talk about it.
Unbeaten. What's your best bet of the weekend, Nigel?
Arsenal to win to 0 against Southampton, minus 125. And we'll all be singing the Bee Gees' favourites. You win to 0 again.
Nigel Jack, thanks for your company. Good luck to one and all. Get your comments in. Who do you like this weekend on our YouTube channel? It's free to subscribe to if you haven't already. We'll keep everyone updated via our X feeds, the boys P&L is on screen for the season so far. The show is in profit, as is the European show, and everyone's been crushing it on the live shows as well. Midweek, of course, 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday through until Friday. We're going to be back in a fortnight for this show. More picks, plays, hot dogs, same game parlays, and so on. Follow us at Because We Win. From all of us for now, it is goodbye. We'll see you soon.